What does it feel like to slowly disappear as a person? Today I'm telling you what Christer's jealousy did to my mind and how we bounced back tighter than ever. The thing about being with someone who's jealous is that you don't wake up one day and think, oh, I am being controlled. It's so much more subtle than that. It starts with tiny adjustments. Maybe I'd mention a coworker's name and Christer would get this look. Not angry, just uncomfortable. So the next time I'd just say someone at work instead of using their name because it seemed easier. Or I'd be getting ready for a work event and I could feel this tension in the room. Not words, just energy. So I'd choose the more conservative outfit. Not because he asked me to, because he never did, but because it felt like the path of least resistance. These weren't big moments. They were tiny corrections that seemed so reasonable at the time. I knew he was struggling, and I thought I protected us both by being considerate of his feelings. I didn't want to hurt him. But at the same time, it really hurt me because I felt accused when basically all I ever did was just being myself. But here's what I didn't realize. Each tiny adjustment was like turning down my volume one notch at a time. And after years of turning it down notch by notch, I'd become almost muted. Then something happened that we will go deeper into in a later video. But after that, we had this amazing week where we felt like happy bunnies again. What he didn't say is that during that week, I felt like myself for the first time in years. I was laughing louder, making jokes, being spontaneous. I realized I'd been walking on eggshells for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like just to be. When we were dating, I was outgoing. I'd talk to anyone, anywhere. I had opinions about everything and wasn't afraid to share them. I was confident, maybe a little bold even. But somewhere along the way, that person had gotten smaller and smaller. Not because of any big dramatic moment, but because of 1,000 tiny moments where it felt safer just to tone it down. I didn't even realize how much I'd changed until I got a glimpse of who I used to be during that one week. The hardest part to explain is that there were no rules. Christer never said, don't talk to that person or don't wear that. The boundaries were invisible, but they were absolutely real. I'd edit my stories before telling them. If something funny happened with a male coworker, I'd either skip it entirely or change the details to make it less something. I stopped being fully present in conversations because part of my brain was always calculating. Is this something I should mention at home? How will I tell this story? Should I tell this story? The crazy thing is, I thought I was being a good wife. I thought this was what compromise looked like in a marriage. I didn't realize that I was slowly erasing myself. That week when I felt like myself again, it was like waking up from a long dream. Suddenly I could see how small my world had become. I realized I'd been holding my breath for years, not literally, but emotionally. Slightly tense, slightly careful, slightly less. And the saddest part? Christer fell in love with the bold, outgoing, confident woman I was when we met. But this jealousy had slowly trained me to be the opposite of everything he had originally loved about me. We were both losing. He was miserable with his jealousy, and I was disappearing under the weight of trying to manage it for him. That's when we both realized something had to change. Not for him, not just for him, but for both of us. When Christer decided to deal with his jealousy, and I mean really deal with it, not just manage it, it was like someone turned the lights back on. At first, I didn't trust it. I'd still catch myself editing my words or choosing the safer options. Those habits were so ingrained. But gradually I started testing the waters, telling a story without editing it first, wearing something that I actually wanted to wear, being spontaneous without checking the emotional temperature first. And you know what? The person who came back wasn't just the old me, she was better, because now I knew what it felt like to lose myself, and I was never going to let that happen again. The woman Krista married in 1996 was back, but with 15 years of wisdom and a deep appreciation for what we almost lost. If you're watching this and thinking, that sounds familiar, I want you to know you haven't lost yourself. That person is still there, just turned down really low. But here's the thing, your partner has to do their work. You can't fix their jealousy by making yourself smaller. Trust me, I tried for 15 years. But the good news, when they do the work, when they really face their jealousy head on like Krista did, you both get to come back.